Hello, everyone. I'm CiCi Reagan. I'm here with Noleen, and we are talking about authenticity and human-centric marketing and what that actually means. And does that immediately position us in opposition to AI? Actually, maybe not. It's interesting. It's a nuanced conversation. I love having these conversations, and Noleen is lush. We met because I don't know, the universe brought us together, the internet brought us together, and we've been following each other for a while. And then we discovered that we are kind of variations on a theme. And a lot of what I say about writing and how to show up as yourself in writing and put so much less pressure on yourself and just try and have fun and do things is exactly how Noleen is with showing up on video. And obviously, this day and age, video is the thing. You're writing and you're talking to people on video. It's kind of like we need both of these pieces, and I find that one or the other is really difficult for people. So I'm so excited to have you here to speak to my audience about our kind of like shared ideas about things, but how that looks on video, and just to learn from you myself because I always learn from your content. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm delighted to be here. I know I'm like thinking, oh my God, pressure, pressure.
I know this
No,
is
I
what you
know
did
this
to
is good.
me.
Yeah. Oh,
So
damn, I knew I shouldn't have done
I know.
that.
For those of you who don't know, part one of this is on Noleen's channel on her profile. So you can go there and see her interview me, but hang out here first, watch this, and then you can go find that. All the links and everything will be below. But should we just jump into things? I'm just quite keen to start asking you
Let's go for it.
questions.
Okay, we may as well. We're on a
Okay.
roll now.
So I want to start with the same question that you asked me, which is like, why and how do you know that it's so important to show up as yourself on video, just in general?
I mean, gosh, I mean, it's going to be an extension of what you said as well on your channel, but honestly, like people are so sick and tired of the faceless marketing, the AI. And again, we're not being anti-AI here. There are plenty of great uses for it, as we touched on already in your talk, and we'll probably touch on here again, right? But it's just this soulless marketing, right? This soulless content, right? And people are literally craving humans now. Like you think even about like you can't even get sometimes you have an issue with somebody's website or something, or like whatever you need. Oh, I need to get this thing sorted, and they're just bots talking to you, and you're like, I just want to blim well talk to a human so they get me, right? And they understand, and we'll get this done quicker, right? And your content and marketing exactly the same, right? Like people are a lot more smarter these days. We're all smarter now about being sold to, about the psychology behind marketing and all of that kind of thing, right? Especially if you're in the B2B world, right? Like, but even like B2C people, like it's the same, right? Like I'm also B2C because I'm a consumer buying from other businesses, right? And we know, and we're sick of that, and what we're looking for now more than ever is that human contact connection, right? And again, like I'm someone who loves technology. Let's still have the tech. We don't, it's not about ditching the tech, ditching the AI. No, it's not that. But it's just about bringing more of that humanness into it. And as humans, one of the most human of things is storytelling. Right. And we want to get to know a person. Tell me about yourself. Like you meet someone in person, it's like, oh, but tell me about yourself. Right. And you want to hear about where they're from and what their story is and how they got to where they are today. And sometimes it's not about telling your whole entire life story in like 5 minutes or whatever, right? But it's just something even mundane about them. Again, this was something you touched on, CiCi, and you did a great talk, and definitely go and check that out, by the way. What CiCi shared on that, right? But it is the same thing, right? And for me, doing that on video is even more important, right? Like, because it literally is you using your voice, right? It's like actually hearing the person, like we're doing now, CiCi, right? Like people hear us and see us. Like that has just a whole other next level connection than it has when we're reading the words, and that is super important. And then when you actually hear that person and you hear their voice, and it's like, oh wow, it amplifies that message even more. It amplifies that story even more. So that's why for me this is so important. And especially if you are someone like who is a service-based business, a coach, or even just you just want to make an impact in the world, right? Like, whatever it is that you're doing, like I'm definitely someone who wants to make an impact. Like, well, then I need to show up and I need to let people see me, because that's actually how I'm going to make the impact. And it doesn't matter what you're selling, even if you're selling notebooks, still show up and let people know who you are. That's what's going to sell more of your notebooks, right? Because that notebook then has a, more importance to it, because it's like, I bought it from this person. Oh, I know who this person is, and I know what their mission is, and I know what their story is, and why they created these notebooks. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Hopefully
exactly.
that makes sense.
Yes, it is all about the person. And I
Mm,
think, like you said, it deepens that connection. Like
mm,
the video is another level because you know
yeah,
somebody's cadence and you know how their
exactly.
voice
Yeah,
sounds. And
yeah.
then, like you said to me, now you read my written content in my voice. You're
Exactly.
like, you
Yeah,
hear my voice in your head. Like, how
yeah,
connected
yeah,
is that?
yeah, yeah. Like, I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about that, because I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like the content that I'll give you a great example, right? So I definitely need to clean out my inbox at the moment, right? I have a lot of newsletters coming in, right? And there are a couple of people there who I've been hesitating. I'm like, oh, should I not? Like, I always feel bad about unsubscribing from people, because I know what it's like the other side, and it's not personal. It never is, right? And this is
No.
why, but well, that's another whole topic for another day, right? But there's these two people I was thinking, right, actually, I am going to unsubscribe from theirs. And it's not because their content isn't good, right? Actually, what they have to say is really good. What they're putting out, their offers are really good. But the thing is, those two people, right? I was thinking to myself, okay, well, why am I choosing to unsubscribe from them? It's because I haven't made the connection with them, right? I haven't seen them on video, but also even in their written content, I haven't made that connection. And that's what it is. So the people whose content, whose newsletters I'm keeping, and there's still going to be a lot of them, but they're all the people I know, how they sound, how they look, right? So that when I'm reading their content, it has a different meaning for me. That I say that message is amplified. I'm hearing them, I'm seeing them. And that, to me, like I said, I'm even gonna get excited even thinking about it. And those are the people whose content I can't wait to read. I love seeing their videos, but I also can't wait to read their content. So they work in tandem. Do you
Mm.
know what I mean?
Yeah, well, let me ask you, this kind of like leads into
Mm,
the next question then,
mm,
like about these people that you feel more connected to, that you like read their stuff and all of this, like,
mm,
do you,
mm.
I know the answer to this is the leading question, but are these people perfect or do they allow themselves to make mistakes
Yeah.
and
Well,
even show
yeah,
that to their audience?
you just said it there, right? I mean, I'm going to use you as an example, CiCi, right? Like, you're an amazing copywriter, right? Like, you are brilliant. But what makes me like you more as a copywriter, and why I read your stuff more, and why I'm more drawn to you, is because it's not this super polished, this is exactly how you write, and this is the structure of writing, and I've read this in a book, and I've gone and done a course on it, and this is how you do writing. It's always been like this. I can't relate to that, right? Because I'm not that type of person, right? Like, and we're all imperfect, but we're perfectly imperfect. And this is why, showing up with those flaws, not being polished, right? Is exactly why people are going to relate to you, right? That's why I relate to you. It's why I relate to all those other people. They have typos sometimes. Who gives a shit, right? Like, it doesn't that great. I have typos. It makes me go, oh my God, a copywriter has a typo. Phew, that's okay, because then I have to, right? And it's okay for me to have it, right? I'm not sitting there looking, go, oh my God, they had a typo. That's ridiculous. No, like, it doesn't matter. It makes you human. And that's what I'm looking for. That's what my people are looking for. That's what your people are looking for. That's what we're all looking for.
Mm.
And so this is why, again, you touched on it in when I interviewed you, again, about people get so caught up on perfectionism, right? And I'm definitely one of those myself, especially when it comes to writing. But I also did as well when it comes to video. And a lot of my people have the same problem as well. And they're thinking, actually, I'll give you another great example of this, right? This is, why so many people, I see this mostly on Instagram, but it's in general. They're thinking, well, I can't make videos, right, unless I have all the captions, and I need the trending audios, and I need to have the scripts, right? And it's about going viral, right? And they think that's what they need to succeed. They think that's what they need to make their videos work. But that is not it at all, right? I'm not saying never have those things. I put course captions on my stuff as well, right? But here's what I do with my videos now, right? If I have an idea for a video, or a message I want to get out, right? And it's a choice between, I start seeing myself going down the rabbit hole of, well, hold on, maybe I should say it this way or that way. Oh, and now I need to put the captions on. And what am I going to put there? And then I just stop and I say no. And I just record the goddamn video and I put it out. No captions, no trending audio, no, none of the stuff, right? And guess what, right? They are always the ones that convert the best, right? Because number one, I haven't started to, when I start to get into overthinking, trying to get this message out in the quote unquote perfect way, in the polished way, with all this, the bells and whistles, that message is never going to come across the way I actually intended it to, right? It comes out as this wishy-washy version of what I actually wanted to say, and it doesn't land. So that's why I'm saying, like, those, it actually comes down, do you know what it comes down to actually, CiCi? It comes down to not trusting yourself enough, I think, sometimes. And I know definitely for me, when I was getting so caught up in worrying about, I better have the captions, I better have the trending audio, I better have the scripts, I better say this the quote unquote perfect way, right? That was because I didn't trust myself enough. I wasn't trusting my own voice was enough. I wasn't trusting that how I will deliver this message is enough. I wasn't trusting, you know, that I was enough, right? And when I just said, I just let that go. And I said, you know what I have to say is enough. How I say it is enough. If I say ums and ahs and I don't say it perfectly, if I miss words, it's enough. Like, it's okay. And that is exactly the kind of message that people need to hear from me. And that's what resonates most with my people. That's how, what happens when I put out those kind of videos is that not only do I get the messages and the engagement from people saying, oh my God, this so landed with me. I so get this. Yeah, this is me. I know exactly what you're saying, or I loved this, right? It's not just those kind of messages. Those are the people that actually turn into clients as well. So being just the raw you sometimes and just letting the message out and just speaking is exactly the way to show up unpolished and just do it.
That's why I follow you. I mean, that's like really what I felt like stood out about you. What I like the most about you is what you were putting out is like you see a lot of stuff that's about how to show up on video be about like how to make a good transition
Yeah.
or like how to find the trending audios, and it's about like the mechanics of it. And I agree with you, it's like it's hiding it's like, you know, when like we talked about getting a robot to write your content, like it's a tool, like a trending
Yes.
audio is a tool,
Yeah.
the captions are a tool, but they're not the thing. The thing is like you
Yeah.
and what you want to say.
Yeah. 100%, 100%. Like, and as I said, it's not about never using those things. Of course, like, and those things are great for, you know, obviously, like, you know, growing your reach and, you know, things like that and getting more people in your world. Of course, there's all of that, right? But you know, it's just about having those as add-ons, right? Like the first thing you need to do, and again, as you were saying, the same when it comes to your written content, it's about, you know, just letting yourself speak, just like, you know, what am I trying to say? Like liberating yourself, right? From
Mhm.
all these shoulds, right? And all these things you're supposed to do. No, like those things are great. But the thing is as well, right? Gosh, I could go on about this one forever, right? But you know, a lot of the time it's like there's people trying to sell you that stuff, right? And that's good on them. That's great. That's what they do. But here's the thing, right? The people that all of that stuff is working for are also the ones, right, that are showing up sometimes doing it unpolished, right? They're also showing up sometimes without the captions and without all the things,
Mhm.
right? Or when they are showing up with all of the captions and things, it's because they've got to the stage where they know that this is just, it's not what I need, right? But I know that if I just show up and be me, that's more than enough. But I'm
Mhm.
just adding on these extra things now because it's about growth as well, right?
Yes.
And sometimes it's about selling you something, right? Making
Yeah.
you think that it's what you need, right? But as I say, those people that are absolutely nailing it as well, they're not nailing it just because they have the captions, the trending audios, and all of those. They're nailing it because they're also additionally doing the stuff where, yeah, they might have some of the faceless reels and all of that stuff and the voiceless reels, but they've also have plenty of videos there, right? Where they're also talking and speaking and just being themselves and just showing their random stuff in their day. That's how their stories are working. That's how their reels are working because it's the mixture of both. It's not one. It's not just all of that other stuff,
And
you
I thought
know?
it would be boring, you know, the sitting talking to camera and stuff. Like I thought
Mm.
who would want to watch that?
Yeah.
They're the best ones.
Oh, 100%.
Me just
Yeah.
like telling here's
Yeah.
how I help my client
Yeah.
do this and this. Here's what we did and here's
Yeah.
what they have now. Those are like
Yeah.
my best. I'm just sitting there in my
Yeah.
jumper like blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm
And
like
this is, oh, sorry, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't think people would care.
Yeah. And that's it. But people do. And that's the thing, right? This is, again, something that I thought as well. Again, also kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier as well with the written content. It's like the stuff that we think, oh God, will people really care? Do people really want to listen to me? Yeah, they really do care. They do want to listen to you. They want to know your random everyday stuff. That is the stuff that's going to connect. You speaking, as I said, like just, you know, like that now, like out there, I just kind of stumbled there. That's the stuff that works because that's real, that's what we relate to. Someone sitting there with the script and it's like, hi, and this is what this is what the message is. I watched a video of a woman the other day, right? And she's really good at what she does, right? And the service she's offering is brilliant, right? And it was a 3-minute video, and it was so obvious she was reading off a script, right? Because she sounded robotic, right? She was like, and it was like she had written everything down word for word, and now she's just reading it off the script.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'm there going, if she was talking to me, would she sound like that? No, she wouldn't, right? If I was to sit there and to ask her to tell me this as well, she'd be just talking to me like a human being, right? And that's what videos need to be as well. Talk as if like I always use this line, right? Like my clients know this line inside out when I say it, right? I say, you are not reading the news, right? You're not standing up in the UN giving a speech, right? No, you're talking to humans. You're talking to a person. And even if you can't see them on the other end, right, it doesn't matter because you just, and yeah, it can take a while to get used to talking to the camera like that. But again, that's why I always say, like, keep in mind, well, what's your why? Like, why are you doing this and who are you doing it for? If you have just even one person in mind who you want to hear this message today and who you want this to land with and think about how you want them to feel, that makes it a whole lot easier to talk to the camera, and it makes it a whole lot easier to speak conversationally rather than going, this needs to be a script, because that's not landing. Like that woman, it was turned off, right? When she was doing this, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh God, this is like, that's when someone is talking at you, not to you. Do you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what it's about, talking to people, just as in like you and I are talking to each other now, right? I want to talk to a person,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
It's more
Hopefully
fun
this
to
is
listen
making
to,
sense.
and that's who you want to buy from. When I see people who are like super polished and stuff like that, I
Mm-hmm.
am put off, like, because what if, did they expect me to run my business like that? Would they expect
Yeah.
me to, like, if I was going to work with them, would they want me to match that energy? Because that's not who I want to be. I want to be just like regular and normal and not put all this extra pressure on myself. I want to work with somebody like you. I don't want to work with somebody who's going to see a typo in an email and unsubscribe. They can go. Please go. Like, I don't want to work with somebody who's going to be like, you didn't caption this real
Yeah.
perfectly.
Yeah.
Meh.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
obviously accessibility and all that stuff, we want to do that,
Of
but
course.
it's
Yeah.
not about, so you
Yeah.
just put it out there. Like you said, it's not
Yeah.
about that. So let those people go. Who
Yeah.
do you actually even care about their opinion?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You've just nailed it there, CiCi, and it's about that relatability, isn't it? And it's about like wanting to, like, as you said, like for me, like when I see people and their feed is so perfectly curated and their website is so perfect and everything is super polished, I'm kind of out there because I'm like, I'm not a super polished person. And it makes me go, A, I can't relate to them, right? And B, as you said, I'm thinking, God, well, if I'm working with this person, will they understand like that sometimes I can be a bit messy and sometimes I won't do it perfectly, and will they be like almost giving out to me like I'm in school and I'll get in trouble for not doing it right? I want to work with someone who understands, you know, and I want someone to kick my ass because I love that as well, right? Because I need that, right? I need
Yeah.
that type of accountability and I love it, right? But you also want someone to be understanding as well, right? And sometimes when you see this thing that's too perfectly polished, it can turn people away, you know, because again, there's no human connection there, but also it makes you think, oh, well, they're not going to really understand me, and that's not really what I need. I want someone who's going to get me, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think
mm,
this leads so well into when you don't show up as yourself and then the
mm,
ramifications of that.
yes.
Sometimes we learn the hard way.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to
Yeah.
be vulnerable with
Yeah.
us and tell
Oh,
us about one of those
I've had
lessons?
so many of those, like especially when I started with video. I mean, I definitely had it with written content as well, but oh my God, like when I started creating videos, I was doing what I thought I should do, what everyone was telling me to do. I was looking at the experts. I was like, okay, well, I better do it like them. I better sound like them. And guess what? My content didn't land, right? I was getting nothing from these videos. Again, even my written content, I would argue is the same. I was getting people who knew me in real life, so to speak. They were like, watching your videos, Noleen, and they're good, but like, it doesn't sound like you. Like,
Mm,
you sound almost robotic. And I was like, what do you mean? And I thought I was sounding exactly like me. And I thought I was being conversational and all of this. And then when I went back and watched them, especially when I go back now, like, and I go back to some of my earlier videos, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so stiff and so like, hi, I'm Nolly, and so this is what I do, and this is how I teach, And it's like, it's
Wow.
not me. It's like a different person. And at this, on one hand, well, at least I was doing it. So you absolutely have to do it. Like sometimes you have to just show up and do it imperfectly, as I say. Like there can be that. And that led, of course, a lot to me, like growing my confidence, of course, just being able to get over the fear of doing the thing in the first place, especially video. But there came a point where that wasn't enough anymore. And I did need to start sounding like me because I did want my videos to connect, right, and to convert. So yeah, I mean, it was like, and it was difficult because I said I was showing up and I was doing all the things and I was like putting so much effort into these videos. Like sometimes videos were taking me like a 2 minute video would take me hours. It
Mm.
was ridiculous. It was exhausting, right? So not only was it not landing, it wasn't sounding like me, but also it was really tiring and it was making me go, oh, what's the point of doing this stuff? What's the point of doing this content thing? And again, I was also, um, there was misalignment there, right? Because I wasn't aligned anymore with what the whole reason I was doing this in the first place and why I do what I do, you know? And also, again, what it was doing is attracting the wrong people, It wasn't attracting the people I wanted, you know?
Right.
Mm.
Right. So then how
Mm.
do you begin to share if you don't have everything figured out yet? Is it just about knowing that you're going to make the mistakes and just being
Mm.
okay with it? Or like, and then just learning from those? Or like,
Yeah,
how do
that,
you
yeah,
share when you don't know?
that absolutely is something. But what I would say is because sometimes we can hear that and we think, okay, like just show up and do it. Like that doesn't always work. It definitely didn't always work for me, even though it's definitely something I use a lot now with myself, even. Um, but my biggest thing, and even again, even now, even though I'm so confident on video now, I love video. But the number one thing that I do is when I start find myself moving away and getting in my head and going into the perfectionist and all of that, is I go back to my why, just the simplest of things. Why am I doing this? Right? Like, why am I even running my business? Right? Why am I creating this piece of content? Like, why this message clearly came to me. So I have this idea. I know that I want to show up on video and do it, right? But all the other stuff is coming up. So then I go, well, why did this come to me? Right? Why do I want to share this with somebody today? Who do I want to share it with? Right?
Mm.
And how do I want that person to feel? And when I do that, right, and sometimes I literally need to journal on it, right? Like I had to do it myself even recently. So this is not something that's you get over it and that's it forever. No, like it's that thing, new level, new devil, right? Like it's always going to be there, right? Not always going to have to go back to this. But let's say you're just really starting out with video. Number one, that's definitely the very first thing I would do. But again, even if you're not new to video, you're already doing it, but you're getting stuck in those shoulds, you're getting stuck in the perfectionism, you're not showing up as yourself, right? You're hiding yourself behind the captions, the graphics, the faceless stuff, all the trending stuff, where you're hiding. As I said, like I was doing, I was also hiding behind other people's voices, right?
Mm.
I was trying to speak like other people, but not speak as myself. Because again, there was that element of, well, what I have to say isn't enough. My voice isn't enough. How I'm saying it isn't enough. But it was enough. It is enough, right? So then again, as I'm saying, go back to then that, well, why am I doing it? And that is absolutely going to, once you go back to that, is that even if you have to journal on it, you've completely shifted your energy then. You're out of your head, right? And you're actually into, oh, well, hold on. Well, yeah, well, it's not about me anymore. It's about, I want to do this. And how, as I really think about it, so like, how do I want that person to feel? What do I want them to
Mm.
do after this, right? And once you do that, like, I mean, even as I'm talking about it, I feel a shift myself, right? Because all of a sudden it's not about me and it's just about making that impact I want to make and helping another human being or human beings, like more people.
Mm.
Obviously, we want to help more people, but even if you've helped one person with it, it's going to make a difference, right? Because that person could also become a client, by the way. This is why, again, and this is maybe for another topic for a different day. This is why when people go, I saw a lady talking to you today about, oh, if you only get 100 views, I'm going, 100 views? I've had 100 views on a video where I got 8 sales from it and people who went on to continue to buy from me and who went on to book VIP. So again, even if you get one view and you've changed the life of that one person or you've made a difference in their day, you've done your job. And again, that one person, just one view could turn into a client for years to come and someone who refers you all the time. So again, that's vanity metrics. That's for maybe a different topic. But yeah, going back to the why is huge. Like
I
it
love
changes
that.
everything. Mm.
Yeah, it takes you out of yourself, doesn't it? It makes it like, because this is what I say to people all the time is it's not about you.
Exactly.
Nobody cares. Like everybody's
Exactly.
worried about
Yeah.
them. So it's
Exactly.
nice for you to sort of like take yourself out of yourself a little bit, maybe take yourself a little bit less seriously, and instead think about like the people who you're actually serving and the purpose of the business and then the purpose of sharing this thing. And then that's so much bigger than you and
Yeah.
your like fear of not being perfect on camera.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little bit kind of, we call it in recovery, we call it right sizing something. We like right size it. So instead of blowing it up and making it really big, it's like it's actually only small.
Oh, I love that. That's actually, yeah, that is a brilliant way of saying it. Yeah, 100%. Because it is small, it is. Yeah, I just think actually how you said that is really, really good, actually. Yeah. Yeah, we blow it up into this big thing, but ultimately it's not. It's much smaller. And it is just, as I said, taking it back down to that just ground level of, okay, it's not that big a deal. And actually then just as I think about it, actually, if I could add a couple more things to that, another great way to add, and it goes on from what you were just saying there, is like also ask yourself, like, if I didn't care what people thought about me, how would I show up? Right. Or if I knew this thing was going to work, right? If I knew that I was going to make sales anyway from this, right? How would I show up? Would I do this anyway? And
Mm-hmm.
you would, right? And again, it shifts that energy, you know? And again, it's going back to as well, like, well, can I really make the impact I want to make in the world if I'm sitting here hiding and worrying about getting it right? You know? Like just put that is then about that, oh, just do the thing already. Like it's not that big a deal, right? Just put it out. It's just a video, it's just a video. I can always delete the thing if I really want to. So going back
Yeah.
to, as you said, like taking it from this big thing, oh my God, it's this video and I'm putting it out and the world's going to see it. Like, we all realize, right? Actually, the algorithm doesn't work like that. We get to a point where we're like, oh my God, everybody's going to see this. And then you put it out, and you're like, why is nobody seeing it? It goes to the other extremes, right? But yeah, and also another a mantra I use all the time myself, and I'm always telling my clients this as well, is right, again, when you're getting in your head about it, how can I make this easy? And how can I make this fun? Again, as you said, not taking it too seriously, not taking yourself too seriously. Like, just put the thing out, and make it fun doing it, Again, liberate yourself. Take this big weight of the shoulds and the, oh my God, and the perfectionism, and it has to be polished and it has to be this. Doesn't know, like, again, like bringing in all of those elements we just talked about there will actually make it fun and easy to show up and create the video.
Yeah.
And again, that's what lands, right?
Yes, exactly. And then you get more fun, playful, interesting clients.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's when you get people talking to you as well, right? In the comments, right? Them showing up and they're giving you more content ideas as well. And again, as you said, they're the people also that start turning into clients,
Mhm.
and are so excited to see your content. And then that's how you start making the impact that you want to make and the money you want
Yes.
to make.
Yeah.
Mm,
Well, let me
mm,
ask you just like a couple
mm.
more, maybe like sort of like
Yeah,
quick fire questions to kind of
sure.
land this, because I feel like you've given like so many amazing tips, like told so many stories and like really good examples. So I want to know, um, like, what do you think is the biggest lie people think about like content creation? You kind of talked about like all the different like rules and the hoops that people feel they need to jump through and like the boxes that they need to tick. Do you think that this sort of invisible bar is maybe the biggest lie, that you have to reach this to do it, or do you think that there's maybe something else that people believe that just isn't true at all?
Well, that's what you just touched on. Absolutely would be one of them. But another thing I will add to that as well is this whole big obsession with going viral, right? Like every day I open up Instagram and everything is about, this is how you get your videos to go viral. And this is what you need to go viral and do this to go viral. Why do you need to go viral? Right? I mean, gosh, this is a whole rabbit hole, and we're trying to keep this to quick fire. And this is a topic we could talk about another day. You do not need to go viral to get clients, right? As I said, you could have like my video, right? My video has 110 views, right? Whatever it is, I can't even remember the final number, right? There could be still more going on it, right? But that video, right, got 8 clients, okay, which have led, those people went on to buy from me again. They have become repeat clients over and over, right? They've bought several further things from me, okay? And those, some of them have gone on to work with me in my VIP containers, right? Some of them gone on to book one-to-ones,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have other videos have been the same that have less than 100 views, and they've also turned into clients, right? So that is something that I would really encourage you to not get caught up in. Like, again, like, don't create content to go viral. Create content for people, right? Create content for one person. Because when you do that, right, and you come from that place and all the stuff that you shared as well, CiCi, and that I've been talking about, which are, let's be honest, it's such a huge crossover what we've been saying. It's pretty much the
Yeah.
same thing, right?
Yeah.
Um, when you do it from that place, right, and you do it from that one person, not only do you get that one person, you get more than that, right? You actually do get more people. And what is the point of getting a video or a piece of content out to 60,000 people, right? Once, right? And then that's it, okay? Again, you're not just going for likes and vanity metrics here, right? Don't get me wrong, it's a nice thing if your content goes viral, but it's about continuing that relationship with somebody. Do you know what I mean? So when you are creating the piece of content from that, I'm going to do this for this one person who needs this today. Actually, that is when you make more of the impact. That is maybe when your video can go viral, right? And then what also that does is when it does go viral, it's not just this vanity thing of I've made a video go viral. It actually turns them then into the followers looking at more of your content and, sticking around, right? And creating that community you were talking about earlier, CiCi, and creating that connection with people, and this being sustainable and long lasting instead of having this thing, this one-off thing, or maybe you might get twice, you might go viral, great, but like, is that sustainable? Is that really bringing in what you want? You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a whole tangent I could go on that, but we'll just leave it short for today.
I love that. I think that's
Yeah.
so real and so true. And
Yeah.
like, and especially also if you're just chasing trends, it's you mentioned that you like, people who want to make impact in the world, you want to make an impact in the world. A lot of like my people are driven by the same thing. It's not just about like money and vanity, it's about like impact. And if you're chasing trends, then you're never being disruptive. And if you're
Yes,
never being disruptive, then you're never going to make an impact.
exactly.
So
And
it's actually counterintuitive.
exactly. And you use the right word there, chasing, right? If you're chasing trends, and you're always chasing, you're constantly chasing. You never, you're always in that consistent loop of chasing. You're never getting anywhere, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it might not sound sexy to say this, and it might not be like, as I said, there's so much out there about the viral stuff, but like, yeah, like you got to make an impact, right? And the impact sometimes starts with one person. And
Mhm.
then you can make a huge, big impact. You can make all the money and you should make all that, of course, and, grow your numbers. That's important. But it has to start going back to those basics sometimes, As you
Mhm.
said, that's when you're disruptive, exactly as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe, like you said, it's not sexy, but it's
Mm.
true. So
Yeah. Yeah,
there's
it is.
that.
Yeah. Doesn't start off sexy, but it gets there.
Yeah, absolutely does.
Yeah, yeah, because it is
Yeah.
ultimately sexy at the end of the day. But it's just, yeah, the viral stuff might sound sexier, but it's not sustainable. It's a one. It's
No,
like
yeah.
a fat. It's like, oh, lose 20 kilograms like in 2 weeks. Great, but that's not sustainable. You're not going to keep it off. It's going to come back on again, and you're
Mhm.
going to have to do the work again.
Yeah.
And it's not healthy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
You just end up trapped in this vicious circle.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
who wants to diet for their whole life?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, let's because
Mhm.
obviously like in our last one we want to kind of
Yeah.
like give somebody like one sort of call to action or whatever, but just before we do that, I want to ask you for like one kind of tip. If somebody maybe I go speak for myself, like I show up on video but I can be like really inconsistent with it. I
Mm,
find writing a
mm,
lot easier. It's much more natural for me.
yeah.
Or like I feel like I need to show up on my stories and I'm kind of inconsistent with that. Or maybe somebody who is like wanting to get into it and wanting to kind of showcase their personality. Is there like a tip that you can give of where people should start with that?
Oh, yeah, there's definitely a few things in there. I'll touch on the consistency one first. So again, this myth about consistency, right? First and foremost, keep it very simple for yourself again. So go back to how can I make this easy? How can I make it fun, right? Well, with consistency, people often say, right, I'm going to now show up on video every day for the next 30 days or the next 60 days or the next 365 days, right? Because I see a lot of those kind of things out there as well about like 365-day challenges and, all this kind of thing. First of all, that's extremely hard for most of us to keep up. I know people who've done it and fair play to them. I'm not one of them. I'm not even showing up 365 days on video. I would find that very, I guess, like restrictive for me because then I
Yeah,
was like, oh my God, I have to show up. And also then the quality of the content wouldn't be good because I'm showing up for the sake of it, right?
sure.
So just again, keep it simple for yourself. Like even if it's like, I'm going to show up once a week on video and you stick with that consistency for a while, that's great. Once a week is like 52 times in a year,
Sure.
right? That's great. That's a brilliant start. Okay. And what you find is that once you start getting into that consistency, you go, do you know what? Actually, I feel like showing up a second time this week. Maybe I want to show up a third time, but it's not this kind of heavy thing. Oh my God, I absolutely have to do it. What I'm going to say. Like, at least if you've said to yourself, like, so for example, in your case, CiCi, I would say, right, okay, I'm going to show up once a week on my stories for now. That's a great start. And then if you find you want to show up more, that's great. But you don't, it's not heavy feeling of like, oh my God, I have to do this, right? So I would just start with that and then just gradually add in an extra day or two here and there, right? Until, you're at a point where you're like, I want to show up 3 times and that feels good to you. It's always about quality over quantity. Again, and this myth about consistency, and this is something that I learned from one of my mentors. She always says consistency, by the way, isn't always about the number of times you're showing up. It's more about consistency in your messaging, right? Which I actually really love, right? So
Yeah.
that's actually much more important. So what was the second one? You asked me about personality, and you also asked me something else. Sorry, I can't remember what the second one
Oh,
was.
like people
Um,
who aren't really posting, but they want to show up, and you want to like showcase your personality, but then you don't really know like where to start with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So one of my favorite ways to create video content, especially when I started out first, and I tell my clients this all the time as well, is right, go to your written content, right? So it's not just here's a piece of written content and now I have video content. They're the same. A piece of written content can be a video, and a piece of a video content can be written content, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you have written a piece of content that is one of your stories, a part of your story, right? Well, now just create a video from that. Now, don't read it word for word, right? I'm not saying that. Don't read, okay, well, yeah, I've written it. Okay, now I know what I'm saying. This is it. No, but just tell that story in a 1-2 minute video. It doesn't have to be a long thing, right? And again, like try and keep your videos to maybe 5 minutes or under. Actually, for example, reels now on Instagram, even on YouTube now, shorts, they're 3 minutes, right? 3 minutes is a great amount of time to share something small, right? And by the way, you don't have to pack your whole entire life story into that, right? You just share an element of it. And actually, there's a great way to stay consistent as well, is right. You share one element of your story in a short 1-2-3 minute video, right? And then you say, come back next week or next time for the next part of this story, which again gives you more context. You're like, oh, now I have loads of videos I can actually share because I'm sharing just the next installment of my video, right? Or my story, sorry. And then you go, okay, well, now for the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks, I have 6 different videos I can make, right? One a
Yeah.
week. So you can do it as simply as that. So that's what I would say. Just start with that, right? Just start with something you've written. Maybe you wrote an intro post, right? Well, instead of just having it just as a written one, also now turn that into a video, right? Or as I said, or some story that you might have told, then tell that in a video.
Yeah.
Just it's the same piece of content. But I said the number one tip is please do not read it word for word. That's not what you're going for here. I want you to think of video as a conversation, right? Like you're in a room and someone's asking you, tell me your story or tell me a bit about yourself. How would you speak to them? That's how your videos need to be. And if you stall, forget what you wanted to say, who cares? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Just run with it. It's okay.
This is why I love you, Noleen. I mean, there's many reasons, but that's such a big reason. You just
Oh,
make it feel like easier, lighter. Like, how can this be easy? How can this be fun? Like, what beautiful, incredible questions to ask. Like that you don't hear this stuff in business, and
yeah.
it doesn't need to be so serious, and it doesn't need to be like professionally polished. Like it should
Yeah.
be just whatever you are.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing. Thank you.
Oh, thank. And likewise, exact same for you, Stacey. Like you did that in your interview as well. Again, everybody go and watch that one as well, right? Because that's what you did for me with the written content. Because for me, I definitely get stuck in my head when it comes to the written content. I used to be the same with video, but it's just with video now I find it so much easier for me. Because I actually funny with video for me, I actually have a post I'm going out, written post I'm actually going to write on this one myself about what video for me as well is. It's been liberating because it's actually allowed me to be unpolished and imperfect. It's allowed me just to actually speak. Because what happens with me is I get an idea in my head for a piece of content. I'm like, oh, great. And then I go to write it down and I go, oh, maybe I should say it this other way. Maybe I should say this other way. Whereas what I do now with videos is I go, oh, screw it. I just get the phone out and I just start recording and I just start talking. Right. And then I go, oh, you know, it's fine. Then I'm just going to put it out like that. Right. And that way, the message, it could be completely imperfect. There could be probably a better way of could have said it, right? But I don't care. I get it out, right? Because I know then that message, once it's out, I can, the next time I share it, I'll do it better. You
Yeah.
know, the next time I do it, I will say it in a more cohesive way. And then maybe, or I'll add on to what I wanted to say.
Mhm.
You know, and that's why the only way you get good at this is by just doing it and showing up and doing it that quote unquote imperfect way. But again, like just to free yourself from these bloody rules and things. You don't need them, you know? And that's where I was stuck for so long.
Yeah.
When I said, oh, I don't need the rules anymore, I'm just going to be me. I don't care, you know, and just stop suppressing my voice and just let it be what it is. And if people don't like it, that's okay. They're not going to like it. There's going to be lots of people don't like it. I'm okay with that. That's great. Then we're not wasting our time. They're going to leave, and then I have the people who do want to be in my world.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's a much more empowered place to come from like
Oh,
that, isn't it?
yes, yes,
Yeah. Versus
100%.
like the
And
chase.
that's being in your personal power, isn't it, CiCi?
Mhm. Yeah,
Mm.
that's
Because
it.
you
Like
know,
that is the place to create content from, to make business decisions from, like that. Yeah, that's
yeah,
the place.
yeah.
So
Mm.
that being said, let's move into our final. You've
Yeah.
been watching this and kind of like soaking in all this stuff. Beautiful, beautiful human there on the other side of the screen. So we want to give you a thing that you can do. Noleen has given you like a little, what is it, like a little mini 10-minute challenge thing of like what you can
Yeah.
do to then implement this stuff
Yeah.
instead of just sitting here watching this video and the other video and then being like,
Yeah.
that was cool, and then it
Mm.
falls out of your brain.
Yes.
So do you want to tell everyone their little challenge?
Yes, exactly. So, one of the easiest places to start with this, what we've talked about today and implementing, is do it on your Instagram stories or your Facebook stories. And what's great about that is that you can show up on that, right? And it disappears after 24 hours. I mean, you can save them, of course, into your highlights and things. But, you know, just to, even if you're feeling a bit scared about doing this and showing up, A, on video at all, or B, showing up as yourself on video, then just start doing it on Instagram stories. And again, Instagram stories now are up to 60 seconds long. You don't even have to do it that way if you want, or you can do several 60-second ones if you want, right? But just go on your Instagram stories today, right? And just share one thing about yourself on there, right? Just one random thing that we don't know about you, right? It could be about, you know, why you started your business, or it could be you know, why you love you know, working with your clients. It could be about something mundane that happened in your day. In fact, I'm going to do what you did as well, CiCi, right? And say, let's make it as mundane as possible, right?
Yeah.
Tell us just some one random thing, right? That you know, we don't know about you, that you love to do, a hobby you have. It can be as simple as that, right? Or some random thing that happened to you today, right? A goal you have, just something small. Keep it small, and just go on your Instagram stories and do that, and tell your people, and tag me and tag CiCi, because we want to see it as well.
Yeah, we want to see it because we're proud of you. Every time you put yourself out there and
Exactly.
whatever, whether you like used
Yeah.
to it and you do it all the time or it's like totally new, it's
Yeah.
still like worth
Yeah.
applause. It's a thing to
Yes.
do, to just stand and like put yourself out there and be who you are. So we want to
Exactly.
celebrate that.
Absolutely, we
Yeah.
do. Yeah. And celebrate yourself for doing it as well. No, it's not easy to do it, but actually, it's what people, the world is crying out for people like us now, right? You, me, everybody watching this. We need more of us to be loud. I actually, if anyone wants to go and watch it, I posted on my Instagram last week a video about this, about why it's important for all of us to show up and be louder. And louder, by the way, is not about screaming and shouting and getting into, you know, like screaming matches with people and all of that, or highlighting what's already going on. No, it's about showing up, talking more about you and what you do and how you help people. That's what I mean about louder. So
Yeah.
yeah, show up and be yourself. Tell us who you are. Tell us how you help people. Get on there and talk more, because people are looking for that. We need an alternative in the world to all the other crap, you know?
A
But there's a
hundred
lot of good out
percent.
there, right? We just need to hear about it more. There might people
Yeah.
think there's only crap. That's just, I don't agree with that. There's lots of great stuff in the world, but we're the ones being quiet. We need to be the ones saying, "Hey, I'm here too," you know, and I can help you do this, and I can help change your life, you know. Mm.
Yeah, and while you're playing small, somebody else out there who's just better at marketing and maybe even not as great at their job is
Yeah,
signing your client and not helping them the way that you could.
exactly. You
Mm.
nailed it. You nailed it,
Yeah.
CiCi, as usual.
Well, thank you so much, Nolene. Everybody watching this, all of her details will be like in all the description-y bits, all the whatever. So go follow her, watch the other half of the interview if you haven't already.
Definitely.
Go do your
Mm.
Instagram story or Facebook story and tag us in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like we came up with ideas for like a whole series of these that we can do.
I
So,
know, I was thinking the same.
so if you have questions or other things that you want us to cover, let us know. I think it would be cool to
Yeah.
do one that was specifically about sales, even maybe,
Yes.
and some other things. So let us know if you have ideas and we'll put that together. But thanks for watching, and
Yeah.
thank you, Noleen, for being here.
Thank you so much, CiCi. This has been amazing. Thank you, everybody, for watching as well. Yeah, and make sure you leave your questions for CiCi and I under this video and also over on CiCi's. Definitely go and watch that. It was amazing.
Yes.
But yeah, such a pleasure to be here today.
Oh, thanks so much. All right, see you later.